Acadiana. Welcome to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate and the larger Advocate News organization. They are our source of local journalism, local print journalism here in Louisiana and especially in the Acadiana area. We're glad to bring you this public service as a way for our visually impaired community, as well as anyone who doesn't have time to sit and read the news. We're glad to bring this public service so that you all can have the news delivered to you every Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 and 10. And we, of course, couldn't do it without the generous volunteer efforts of our news readers, people like the glorious Mr. Bruce Cohen, who is just coming off the back of, I think, a very successful fundraiser for Festival of Words, huh, Bruce?
Yes, it was extremely successful last night, 2.5 hours, 43 authors being commissioned to read their works. It was incredible. We had fiddle players and all kinds of stuff. It was really excellent. People from all over the country.
Very, very cool. Well, Bruce, thank you so much for being here to read the news this morning. I know you hosted that whole show last night, but you were just going into overtime, and I'm going to listen on Cypress Street. Thanks so much, Bruce.
Thanks, Matt. Well, good morning, Acadiana. It is Friday, September 11th, 2020. We'll start off with mourning a fallen son. Loved ones, activists, local officials gather for Trayford Pellerin's funeral by Katie Gagliano, staff writer. After weeks of chanting his name in the streets, activists and family members cheerfully gathered Thursday to say their final goodbyes to Trayford Pellerin. Pellerin, 31, died August 21st after Lafayette police officers shot him at a gas station on Northwest Frontage Road and Chalmette Drive, less than a half a mile from Philadelphia Christian Church, where his funeral service was held Thursday. An independent autopsy contracted by Pellerin's family said Pellerin was shot by officers 10 times, a family statement said. Dozens of community members, friends, and family funneled into the church between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. for a public visitation, pausing beside Pellerin's partially open casket to offer a prayer and an outstretched hand before their final goodbye. Lafayette Parish Mayor President Josh Guillory was among those who came to pay respects, arriving 15 minutes before the service to share a few quiet moments with the family along the receiving line and to say a prayer beside Pellerin's casket. Themes of hope, overcoming the adversity of racism, and bringing about change floated throughout the 3 hours service's speeches, sparked by Pellerin's death at the hands of police, but underneath the calls for action was the family's pain. At the beginning of the service, as family members glimpsed Pellerin's face one last time, mournful sobs could be heard above the gospel choir's song. Michelle Pellerin, Trayford Pellerin's mother, was supported on either side as she walked back to her seat with tears streaming down her face. The Reverend Omar Thibault, an attorney and pastor at Philadelphia Christian Church, called Trayford Pellerin a fallen son of this city. Thibault's wife is a relative of Michelle Pellerin, but he said family or not, Trayford Pellerin's death was striking because of the pain and trauma it carries for all Black people. Thibault and his family were driving down Northwest Evangeline Thruway after the August 21st shooting and saw the scene. Stopped in traffic on the road, they asked a young woman on the roadside what happened. She said another Black young man got shot by the police. I heard something in her voice. I heard something in her voice that was in my heart, my wife's heart, my 3 kids' heart. I heard trauma. I heard pain. I heard hurt, he said. The same trauma and pain is shared by every Black person who has experienced racism and discrimination because of the color of their skin. That trauma runs back 400 years, the beginning of African slavery in America, and carries with it the struggles and pains of each subsequent generation. Although things have changed, the struggles still exist, he said. Although they don't carry that particular trauma, white people have not escaped America's racialized society without psychological effects, Thibault said. For some white people, the long-standing separation between white people and black people had made it difficult for some white people to identify with black people, to see themselves and their families in the black community. He called on white residents of Lafayette to try to see the pain the shooting and other racial injustices have inflicted on their black neighbors. White allies need to step up to bridge that disconnect, work to know and understand black trauma, make connections with black people in the community, and then be a voice for the black community in their spaces and in places of power to help shift others' mindset toward greater understanding and equality, he said. We have trauma and they have a disconnect. The disconnect results in a lack of compassion, empathy, mercy, and love. For my European brothers and sisters, you've got to know, you've got to show, and you've got to go, the pastor said. Abraham Lincoln said, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. That's why we say silence is violence. If you hear us, understand us, and know our trauma, say something and do something, Thibault said. The calls to action continue with a speech from the Reverend Al Sharpton, a civil rights activist, media commentator, and Baptist minister who challenged the community to stand with confidence in God's grace and support, and without fear as they continue to demand better from local elected officials and their police department. Sharpton said that the black community isn't asking for favors, but for black citizens to be treated with the same consideration as white citizens. If the roles were reversed and black cops had shot a white man, he said, protesting wouldn't be necessary to feel confident in an outcome of justice. The minister said calls for improved training don't go far enough, and cops need to be held accountable for their actions. Police officers, while human, are entrusted with a higher level of control and authority over their fellow community members and consequently should be held to a higher standard. Officers shouldn't be allowed to act like they are above the law, he said. I don't understand how you're so trained on one side of town, but you forget your training when it comes to ours. The problem is not the training. The problem is you think you can get away with it with us, Sharpton said. Sharpton also offered moral support to activists who've led marches, demonstrations, and discussions in the city parish in the 3 weeks following Pellerin's death. Sharpton told them to continue on the peaceful path, avoiding violence and destruction, but not to allow themselves to be silenced. Guillory, interim Lafayette Police Chief Scott Morgan, and other law enforcement representatives have made strong statements in the past 3 weeks criticizing the actions of protesters and warning about out-of-state agitators and influencers coming into the city. I've come to Lafayette to tell you the same God that stood with Rosa Parks, the same that stood with Martin Luther King Jr., the same God that stood with Obama, the same God wants justice for Trey, Sharpton said. Sharpton was followed by Guillory, whose walk to the podium was met with quiet anticipation and a bit of tension. Guillory has been under fire by community activists and residents for his response to Pellerin's shooting, including his initial lack of compassion toward the family. Guillory and the family has made positive strides. On September 4th, Guillory met with the family in what the Pellerin family attorneys called a sincere and genuine show of concern. Guillory on Thursday offered condolences with deepest heartfelt sorrow to the family and said a prayer that the family and community can find peace and healing. I pray in the name of Jesus Christ, the blood of Jesus pour over those who are hurting in our community, and I pray that the blood of Jesus Christ pour over our city and our parish, Guillory said. In a meeting with the Pellerin family last week, Guillory said he would allow the family to privately view police body camera footage from the shooting. This was one step of several the family is hoping Lafayette Consolidated Government and local law enforcement will take to provide more information about Pellerin's death in the moments before he was killed. On Tuesday, 15 Judicial District Judge David Smith granted a temporary restraining order prohibiting the release of the video and the identities of the officers involved. It was followed by attorneys representing 3 police officers involved in the fatal shooting. A hearing is scheduled September 15th for arguments about why the order should not be granted. Guillory released a statement after the judge's decision, stating he remains committed to keeping his promise and has directed city parish attorneys at the hearing to advocate for a private family viewing of the video footage. Continuing with more Lafayette and Acadiana news. In Lafayette, sales tax collections dropped slightly in the city. Revenue still ahead of projections by Claire Taylor, staff writer. The latest sales tax collections in Lafayette were down about $300,000 compared with the prior month, but still up compared with 2019. The August monthly report from the Lafayette Parish School Board Sales Tax Office shows $6.7 million in sales taxes collected in the city in July versus $7 million reported in June and $6.6 million collected in July of 2019. Retail sales in Lafayette Parish and in the city in July were the highest amount ever reported for that month at $536.5 million for the parish and $367.6 million for the city, according to data released Wednesday by the Lafayette Economic Development Authority, or LEDA. The latest sales tax collections for the city again show the doomsday economic scenario Lafayette Parish Mayor President Josh Guillory expected because of COVID-19 business closures have not come to fruition. Guillory anticipated sales tax revenue to drop to about $3.8 million per month for the city by the remainder of the 2019-20 fiscal year that ends October 31st and into the 2020-21 fiscal year that begins November 1st. Based on the anticipated plummet in sales tax collections and the downturn in the oilfield industry, Guillory implemented drastic cuts in the current fiscal year, laying off at least 138 employees and closing 4 recreation and activity centers: the Lafayette Science Museum, the Hyman Center for Performing Arts, the Acadiana Nature Station, and several activity centers for the elderly. He also based his proposed 2020-21 budget, which is up for the final adoption next week, on the low sales tax projection. The budget carries through with the cuts and eliminates other programs, including several in parks and recreation, and projected a much smaller fund balance as of October 31st. As a result, the larger than budgeted fund balance and sales tax revenue, the City Council has recommended restoring money for some items Guillory cut for 2020-21, including some employees for the Hyman Center, Parks and Rec, and the Science Museum. City and parish councils at a special meeting September 17th will discuss budget items they disagreed on and may adopt a revised 2020-21 budget. Whether the councils are able to iron out all the differences remains to be seen. They were more cooperative than combative during the budget wrap-up meeting last week, but the issues led to conflicts. They include how much of the cost of running city parish government should be paid by the city versus the parish, which is only about $50,000 in its general fund, compared with several million in the city general fund. The councils also may disagree on when both councils vote on budget items, compared with only the parish council or only the city council. This is the first budget since a homeroom charter amendment was implemented, creating separate city and parish councils, so some procedural matters are being ironed out during the budget review process. In a hydraulics plant to open in Lafayette, California-based manufacturer to create 67 jobs by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. A California-based manufacturer will open operations in North Lafayette in a $5.1 million investment that will create 67 new jobs at an average salary just under $50,000. Westfield Hydraulics, which creates precision hydraulic and fluid control components for aerospace and defense applications, will create an affiliate company, Westfield Fluid Controls, in a 30,000 square foot facility in the North Park Technology Center along West Point de Mouton Road, according to an announcement from Louisiana Economic Development. Westfield Hydraulics, which creates precision hydraulic and fluid control components. Westfield, which will retain its presence in San Fernando, California, hopes to break ground on the project by the end of the year, CEO Robert Schacht said. The company should exceed that job total, he noted. Advanced manufacturing and aerospace are two of the key industries that we are cultivating to grow Louisiana's economy into the future, and the Westfield Fluid Controls cover both of these bases, Governor John Bel Edwards said. Westfield considered several other states, but Louisiana's skilled workforce and attractive business climate helped to secure this exciting project for our state. We welcome the quality jobs this innovative, specialized manufacturing business will create in Lafayette. The move will put the company closer to its customers in Alabama and Pennsylvania, Schatz said, and the company chose the Louisiana site after considering locations in Ohio, Florida, and Texas. It comes after the company first got connected with Louisiana officials through Gray Stream, a member of the Committee of 100 for Economic Development in Louisiana and a president of CKX Lands Incorporated in Lake Charles. Westfield initially bought the 3.6 acre property at 120 Matrix Loop Road in July for $367,400 land records show. The company has been in negotiations with the state and Lafayette Economic Development Authority, or LEADER, officials for almost 4 years prior to Thursday's announcement. Another factor was Louisiana is one of 4 states in the Aerospace Alliance, he said. The mission of the group, which also includes Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi, is to establish the Southeast region as a world-class aerospace and aviation corridor. Our new facility is designed to significantly expand our capabilities through vertical integration of the manufacturing process and the leveraging of new technology, Schatz said. We see this expansion as vital to better support our customers in the rapid development of highly customized fluid control solutions for space and defense systems. We chose Louisiana because we wanted to be part of a community that was truly focused on supporting aerospace manufacturing. I have to say, I was just blown away by the kind of coordination between the state and local government. The program that was offered, the people, it's a very significant thing for our company like ours to move into a community. Do our values align? Are we on the same page about a range of issues? We really thought Lafayette was most aligned with us. To secure the project, Louisiana Economic Development offered a package list that includes a comprehensive workforce solutions of the Fast Start program. Westfield will be eligible for a performance-based grant of up to $250,000 to offset the cost of facility construction and equipment. The company also is expected to utilize the state's quality jobs and industrial tax exemption programs. Lafayette has a rich history of innovation and expertise in manufacturing, from oil field components to jewelry to food products, which played a role in Westfield Fluid Controls selecting our community for the location of the new state-of-the-art facility, said Greg Gothrow, CEO of the Lafayette Economic Development Authority. The specialized high-skilled positions available with the company will offer significant opportunities for local workers with manufacturing or machining experience while complementing our aviation sector. Today's announcement is another step in LEADER's effort to diversify and grow Lafayette's business base for future development. Westfield Hydraulics was formed in 1974 and specializes in the design, manufacture, assembly, and testing of powered and non-powered valves, solenoids, and fluid controls for aerospace and defense applications. I'm actually anticipating some really great things from this move, Schatz said. Our team is excited about it. Okay, let's go to our first public service announcement for the morning. The Illustrated Cafe and Downtown Tourism Kiosk, a unique opportunity for downtown Lafayette Unlimited members to be part of an upcoming exhibition in downtown Lafayette. From October to January, the Illustrated Cafe will serve as a public art installation in the cafe at the Acadian Center for the Arts, or the ACA. Cafe is designed to look like a line drawing that visitors can walk inside, a cartoon-like world created by artist Aileen Bennett. The installation is a black and white drawing in 3 dimensions with real tables and chairs, fanciful illustrations, and objects galore. It will also be a downtown tourism kiosk to help visitors navigate and learn about downtown. The installation will open October 10th for downtown Lafayette's second Saturday Art Walk and will run for a minimum of 3 months, including special holiday editions for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Completely integrated into the project, there will be maps, advertising postcards, and stationary advertising that provide a much-desired information hub to share with visitors in the thriving downtown area. Your business postcard, designed by Eileen Bennett, will be featured in Illustrated Cafe's Visitors Hub. Visitors will be able to take home these custom-designed cards free throughout the 3-month duration of the exhibition. This is a unique opportunity for businesses to receive a personalized piece of art for inclusion in a fantastical viewer experience. For more information, you can contact online at Acadiana Center for the Arts.org. Acadiana Symphony Orchestra takes the virtual stage. The ASO, or the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra, announces they are shifting the fall portion of the ASO 36 revival season to a virtual live stream platform. ASO believes that this is the unquestionable solution to keeping our community safe, while still providing opportunities for local musicians to share their passion and earn income despite mandated restrictions and uncertain venue viability. Acadiana Symphony Orchestra has and will always remain committed to providing outstanding performances to Acadiana and fueling the cultural economy of our region. Symphony businesses and organizations across the country are having to rethink, retool, and reinvent. We are no different, so thank you for your grace and your patience as we map out the next few months. We are working tirelessly behind the scenes to solidify plans for these virtual concerts. It is our commitment to you that we will clearly and concisely communicate ASO's 36 revival season, and details will be in the coming weeks. At a minimum, we are certain that you will receive the highest quality live streaming performance, which you can enjoy from virtually anywhere. As it is right now, the lineup includes a program entitled Unite, which is being aired today, Friday, September 11th, 2020, as a virtual performance. So I would go to the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra Facebook page or website to check on that and make sure it's happening this evening. Triumph, Friday, October 23rd, 2020, a virtual performance. Transform, Friday, November 13th, 2020, virtual. Believe, Thursday, December 17th, 2020, virtual. Adore, Friday, February 12th, 2021, at the Acadiana Center for the Arts, or the ACA. Empower, Friday, April 16th, 2021, St. John's Cathedral. And Revive, Thursday, May 13th, 2021, St. Mary's Church. And those last three may be virtual as well. Okay, going back into our news. Spreading Roots, nonprofit working to get books to St. Landry schools without library services, by Katie Gagliano, staff writer. St. Landry Parish children have limited library access in their schools and communities, and a new nonprofit is stepping into the gap to increase students' access to reading materials. Literary Roots, announced publicly in July, is a brainchild of Taylor Lamond of St. Landry Parish Economic Development. Lamond says she felt a calling to improve the quality of life and opportunities for the children in St. Landry. The idea began germinating in September when Lamond learned there weren't active libraries in the district's elementary and middle schools. Lamond, a Scott resident, thought the statement was an exaggeration and was baffled when she learned it wasn't. St. Landry Superintendent Patrick Jenkins said library services in elementary and middle schools were cut about a decade ago after the school system encountered financial hardship. The library spaces remain, but without librarians, the resources are underutilized and less effective, he said. Ormond said national literacy data is clear that reading affects everything in a child's life and future, from dropout rates to future lost wages. Strong literacy skills are recognized as a tool in breaking the poverty cycle, she said. In a parish like St. Landry, which is geographically rural, with a low median income and high poverty rate, opportunities for upward mobility are critical, Ormond said. Once you have the basic ability to read, you can go anywhere you want from there. When you think about moving or careers, school or trade school, when you read, you can learn anything, and when you learn things, you can do things. Your possibilities are endless, and your tree, your branches, your leaves just continue to grow, she said. St. Landry is the only parish in the state without a parish-wide library system. Opelousas attorney Bruce Godin said. Godin headed the St. Landry Parish Library Coalition in the 2014 campaign for a library system, but the proposal was tabled by the St. Landry Parish Council. There was disagreement about a new tax and fracturing among the group, with some desiring to pull their districts from the proposal, he said. The proposal would have established a 5.5 mil property tax to produce an estimated $3.3 million annually to operate a parish-wide system. Eunice, Krotz Springs, Opelousas, Port Barre, and Washington have municipal or community libraries, but establishing a parish-wide system would have expanded access to other rural areas of the parish and scaled up services everywhere, Godin said. I realized we were so far behind everyone else. Why can't Phil Platt do it and we can't do it? Why can't Crowley or Rain have libraries and we can't, Godin said. Lormont said she initially wanted to fundraise for full-scale libraries before realizing a smaller project would be more sustainable, affordable, and quickly achieved on a short timeline. Each day that passes where a child has reduced access to reading material is a day that's lost, she said. Lormont's plan is to have outdoor library boxes inspired by the Little Free Library concept installed on each elementary and middle school campus in St. Landry, with the possibility of expanding to Head Start centers managed by the school system. The initial plan is to produce at least 26 boxes at an estimated cost of $3,000 per box for a total production cost of $78,000, she said. Literary Roots partnered with architect Kelly Corville of E&M Architecture in Grand Coteau to conceptualize the book boxes. The goal is for each to hold about 400 books and be built to similar standards as a residential home with steel legs and a concrete foundation and hardy plank sides. The goal is for the libraries to last years, she said. Corville is putting the design out to bid. The nonprofit is open to accepting donated materials and labor, but wants a general contractor to manage and oversee production, Lormont said. Things are moving steadily now, but the novel coronavirus pandemic, like for so many other fledgling endeavors, threw a wrench into Lormont's plan, she said. The plans were being finalized as lockdowns and business closures began in March, forcing her to put Literary Roots on the back burner. As the start of the school approached, Lormont realized the pandemic was only increasing children's needs. This can has been kicked down the road for so long, for so many children, and I've decided I've come this far and I'm going to restart, Lormont said. Lormont's goal is to have the libraries installed on campuses by the beginning of the 2021-22 school year at the latest. Seed money from Vision St. Landry, the philanthropic arm of the St. Landry Parish Economic Development, covered the cost of the initial box design and the nonprofit or corporation fees. The nonprofit leader is finalizing selections for the organization's board of directors, expected to be 10 to 15 people, and wrapping production of the group's website so fundraising can begin quickly if the Literary Roots nonprofit status is approved, she said. Fundraising is in the COVID-19 era will look different, but part of Lormont's plan hinges on businesses sponsoring boxes at schools. The hope is that the sponsorship will move beyond a financial donation and coincide with programming Lormont is developing around the libraries, like book clubs and reading events the businesses sponsor and community members can participate in. Books will be collected through book drives, bulk donations, and purchasing, she said. Jenkins said the school system is thrilled by the prospect of additional reading opportunities for students. Reading is the foundation of all learning and understanding, whether the subject of science, math, or social studies, he said. The more diverse reading materials students are exposed to, and the more frequently they read, the better. I think it's a great opportunity, Jenkins said. Okay, it's about the half-hour mark, so we're going to turn to our day in history. So today is Friday, September 11th. It's the 255th day of 2020. There are potentially 111 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history, of course, on September 11th, 2001, nearly 3,000 people were killed as 19 al-Qaeda hijackers seized control of 4 jetliners, sending 2 of the planes into New York's World Trade Center, 1 into the Pentagon, and the 4th into a field in western Pennsylvania. On this date in 1777, during the American Revolution, forces under General George Washington were defeated by the British in the Battle of Brandywine. In 1789, Alexander Hamilton was appointed the first U.S. Secretary of the Treasury. In 1814, an American fleet scored a decisive victory over the British in the Battle of Lake Champlain in the War of 1812. In 1936, Boulder Dam, now Hoover Dam, began operation as President Franklin D. Roosevelt pressed a key in Washington to signal the startup of the dam's first hydroelectric generator. 1941, groundbreaking took place for the Pentagon in a speech that drew accusations of anti-Semitism. Charles A. Lindbergh told an American First rally in Des Moines, Iowa, that the British, the Jewish, and the Roosevelt administration were pushing the United States towards war. In 2006, in a primetime address, President George W. Bush evoked the memory of the victims of the 9/11 attacks as they staunchly defended the war in Iraq, though he acknowledged that Saddam Hussein was not responsible for the attacks. In 2008, presidential candidates John McCain and Barack Obama put aside politics as they visited Ground Zero together on the anniversary of 9/11 to honor its victims. And in 2012, a mob armed with guns and grenades launched a fiery night-long attack on a U.S. diplomatic outpost in a CIA annex in Benghazi, Libya, killing U.S. Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans. 10 years ago, speaking at the Pentagon, President Barack Obama appealed to the nation to honor the memory of the September 11th victims by hewing to the values of diversity and tolerance. In New York, a morning ceremony of remembrance gave way to an afternoon of protest and counter-protest over a proposed Islamic center near Ground Zero. 5 years ago, a crane collapsed onto the Grand Mosque in Mecca, killing 111 people ahead of the annual Hajj pilgrimage. 1 year ago, the Supreme Court allowed nationwide enforcement of a new Trump administration rule preventing most Central American migrants from seeking asylum in the United States. The policy was meant to deny asylum to anyone who passed through another country on the way to the U.S. without seeking protection here. Today's birthdays, we have actor Earl Holliman is 92, comedian Tom Dreesen is 81, movie director Brian De Palma is 80, guitarist Leo Kottke, one of my favorite guitarists, is 75, incredible acoustic guitarist. A rock singer musician Tommy Shaw from Styx is 67. Musician John Moss from Culture Club, 63. Actor-director Roxanne Dawson is 62. Actor John Hawkes is 61 today. Actor Virginia Madsen is 59. Actor Christine McNichol is 58. Musician-composer Moby is 55. Rock musician Bart Van de Suya is 52. Actor Laura Wright is 50, and singer Brad Fischetti from the group LFO is 45. We usually do the funerals at this point. I believe there were some in the area today. Let me check for sure, but don't have that information available. So we'll just move on to the zodiac. And in today's zodiac or horoscope, if you're a Virgo like myself, birthday being tomorrow, a change of plans will make it easier for you to finish what you start. Don't be disappointed by someone's inability to deliver. More significant opportunities are yet to come. Libra, take stock of what you have, consider what you need, and prepare to donate what you no longer use. Keeping things simple and practical will give you peace of mind. Scorpio, spend time doing something you enjoy. Align yourself with people who stimulate artistic and personal growth. Sagittarius, look for the truth. Someone will offer a false impression or assessment of a situation. Impulsive action will lead to a loss. Avoid risky situations and do your homework. Capricorn, keep your temper under control. Look at situations carefully to find the best way to bring about positive change. Question anything that sounds suspicious. Aquarius, sit tight and work with what you have. Stick to what you know you can handle and don't take on someone else's responsibilities. Don't get involved in something you can't afford. Pisces, you'll develop an innovative way to help a worthwhile cause. The changes you make will affect how you move forward professionally. Life-work balance will be a deciding factor in the direction you choose to take. Aries, take a moment to assess situations before you get involved. An emotional incident will require diplomatic action if you want to avoid repercussions. Get the facts before you make a decision. Taurus, take better care of your health. Approach situations involving friends or relatives with compassion and understanding. Knowledge and power and honesty will be important. A change is heading your way. Gemini, someone will mislead you regarding the risk factor involved in a protest or social gathering. Put your health first and make suggestions with your comfort in mind. Choose intelligence over desire. Cancer, be reticent regarding your thoughts, opinions, and feelings. It's better to say nothing than to send the wrong messages. Leo, don't fold under pressure or take on someone else's battles. Focus on making smart decisions that will help you get ahead. A little charm will go a long way when dealing with romantic matters. And as always, the horoscope is an entertainment feature, not based on scientific fact. Okay, moving on, I like to do on Fridays, a story involving entertainment in the area. And this article is entitled, Musicians Take Hit from Laura. Not one person here hasn't been affected. This is by John Wirt, contributing writer. Like every place in Louisiana that isn't New Orleans, Lake Charles usually doesn't enter the national consciousness. The catastrophic damage Hurricane Laura inflicted on the region hasn't registered either. Struck by the most powerful hurricane in Louisiana since 1856, the 200,000 residents in Calcasieu Parish area face months of challenging recovery. An evacuation order remains in place for the parish, which includes the cities of Lake Charles, Sulphur, and Westlake. Along with the fellow Calcasieu Parish residents, the area's internationally known musicians returned to find homes and communities shattered by the storm. It's another hard blow in the year when the coronavirus pandemic has deprived them of performance work since March. In my 73 years, I've never seen devastation come across Louisiana like this, said Grammy-winning Cajun musician Joel Saunier, and Westlake resident. Nothing but debris everywhere. Everything is shut down. I hope someone reaches out a hand and says, hey, what can be done to rebuild this place? We have to figure how we can get back into our homes and back into our lives. Saunier's damaged A-frame house still stands, but the roofs on adjacent structures were ripped away, allowing damage to his stored merchandise and musical gear. Saunier's wife, Bobby, estimates that due to the enormous demand for rebuilding, it will be a year before they can even live in their house again. But even a lot of people have a tree through their house and nothing to rebuild, she said. When zydeco musician Sean Artwin, a two-time Grammy nominee, returned to Lake Charles 2 days after Hurricane Laura's landfill, he saw transformers and telephone poles in the streets in a city that looked like it had been bombed. Not one person here hasn't been affected, he said. Artwin is commuting from Beaumont, Texas to his wind, water, and tree-damaged home. Wind gusts of 100 and 135 miles per hour toppled a large oak tree in his front yard and left his gazebo leaning on the house. Mickey Smith Jr., a saxophonist and band director at Maplewood Middle School in Sulphur, put his small city on the map in January when he won the Grammy Music Educator Award for 2020. Hurricane Laura left 97% of Smith School District sites severely damaged. I'm blessed because our band hall at the Maplewood Middle School only took on a little water, Smith said from San Antonio. But some people have lost their entire buildings. Facilities were completely flooded, instruments ruined. Smith lives in the Maplewood neighborhood. Hurricane force winds blew into his home's doors and portions of his roof off. Water wrecked the piano in his home, an exterior building that serves as a rehearsal studio and storage unit for his musical equipment was destroyed. Despite the destruction, Smith is staying positive. My made-up scripture for this season is, "Blessed are the flexible, this too shall pass." Because their home also is uninhabitable, the Sauniers are staying in a small space at the Care Help Sulphur Incorporated, the food bank and thrift store where Bobby Saunier works. Joel Saunier has helped unload truckloads of donations brought to Care Help by the couple's friends. Holden-based actor and singer John Schneider and his wife Alicia Elaine, Baton Rouge media personality Scott Ennis, and the United Cajun Navy also joined the Schneiders in their convoy of hope. "They are our angels," Bobby Saunier said. "We wish that everybody affected by the storm had as many angels as what we have." The New York City-based Jazz Foundation of America has begun providing emergency grants to musicians affected by Laura, funds for basic expenses, including rent, mortgage payments, utilities, and groceries. The images and stories being shared with us by dozens of musicians, many with small children, are devastating, said Jazz Foundation Executive Director Joseph Petrucelli. The Grammy Awards-affiliated Music Cares is another source of support for musicians. If someone in the music industry needs our help, we welcome the opportunity to help them, said Debbie Carroll, Vice President for Health and Human Services and Music Cares in Nashville, Tennessee. Despite having their lives rendered unrecognizable by Hurricane Laura, the Sauniers, Smith, Ardoin, and other Lake Charles area musicians are upbeat. "It's been a tough few days," said Jeremy Boudreau, a Cajun musician, drummer, and owner of the severely damaged Village Music School. "But people like Charles get stuff done. It's remarkable to see how people are pulling together now. Louisiana's got the soul," an emotional Joel Saunier said. "Now we have to carry our spirit and embrace each other and work together to build Louisiana even better than it was before." And just to let you know, accompanying this story in the newspaper, we've got a picture of Grammy-winning Cajun musician Joel Saunier as he plays for members of the National Guard in Sulphur last week. And Saunier is one of many Southwest Louisiana artists affected by Hurricane Laura. We also have a picture of saxophonist Mickey Smith Jr., the band director of Maplewood Middle School in Sulphur, as he surveys his damaged music studio and storage building. My made-up scripture for the season, again, is, "Blessed are the flexible, this too shall pass," Smith says. All right, getting back into the regular news cycle. A juvenile accused of attempted murder and shooting. A juvenile accused of shooting a man in the head was booked on account of attempted murder on Wednesday, Lafayette police said. Lafayette police responded to a shooting at 9:30 p.m. Wednesday in the 900 block of Priscilla Lane, according to Sergeant Wayne Griffin, spokesperson for the department. The victim went to the Circle K store, Chalmette Road and northeast Evangeline Thruway, to seek assistance. The victim was suffering from a gunshot wound to the head, Griffin said. Medical assistance was provided to the victim prior to him being transported to a hospital. The victim is listed in stable condition. Officers were able to identify a suspect who was located a short time later. The juvenile suspect was booked into the Juvenile Detention Center on a count of attempted second-degree murder. Lafayette police responded to a major crash Thursday on South College Road in Lafayette involving a pickup truck and a bicyclist, KTC-TV reported. Police said the crash happened about 11 a.m. Thursday in the 1200 block of South College Street. Officers say the driver of the pickup was exiting a private drive heading north on South College Street when the vehicle collided with a bicyclist. The bicyclist suffered major injuries and was transported to a hospital for treatment. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone who witnessed the collision or has any information is asked to contact the Lafayette Police Department. And continuing with the crime blotter, an Opelousas police officer charged with malfeasance in connection with the beating of a man in a hospital last year appeared before Judge for his arraignment Thursday, KTC TV reported. Sergeant Tyrone Andropont appeared with his attorney Kevin Stockstill for the hearing at the St. Landry Parish Courthouse in front of Judge Gerald Caswell. Andropont waived his right to a formal reading of his charges and entered a formal plea of not guilty for his 5 counts of malfeasance in office. Andropont was booked in June. He posted a $25,000 bail and was released shortly after being booked. If convicted, he faces up to 5 years in jail or prison and fines of up to $5,000 on each charge. Andropont's next hearing is scheduled for December 21st. Right, and looking at state news, after 6 months, the state is going to be moving into phase 3. Restrictions are looser, but masks are still required by Will Centel staffwide. Calling it his toughest decision during the coronavirus pandemic, Governor John Bel Edwards said Thursday the state will move to phase 3 for the reopening of its economy amid an improving picture in the fight against the virus. We have done better of late, Edwards told reporters. This is what the data represents. That is why we're making the decision we made. The data is positive enough that we will be going into phase 3. The announcement is expected to mean looser restrictions for restaurants, retail stores, schools, churches, gyms, and possibly bars, and a morale boost for residents after 6 months of turmoil. However, the governor said he will spell out exactly what phase 3 will look like on Friday. That's today, and he repeatedly urged Louisiana residents not to assume that a new phase means the pandemic is over. New Orleans is remaining in its own version of phase 2, which already included some tougher rules than the state mandates. The statewide mask order will remain in place, as will the mask requirement for residents of East Baton Rouge Parish. As of today, the rate of COVID-19 in our community has plateaued, but it has not gone down to a safe level. East Baton Rouge Parish Mayor President Sharon Weston Broom said in a statement, "We're keeping a close eye on the number of new cases, hospital capacity, and positivity rate among those getting tested. How long the state will be in the new phase is unclear, and what the data was used to justify is also expected to be detailed. The phase 2 rules expire on Friday. What effect Hurricane Laura will have on the spread of the virus is already hard hit. Southwest Louisiana was one concern about implementing looser rules. Whether the state will see a surge of cases after Labor Day, which happened after Memorial Day, had also hovered over the decision. Edwards said if the state experiences a third surge of cases, he will act pretty quickly to reimpose rules, knowing the flu season is near, with the possibility that flu and coronavirus cases could again threaten the state's hospital capacity. Phase 3 could also trigger a big hike in the number of in-person classes in public schools, which are mostly operating with a combination of personal instruction and distance learning. How quickly schools make the transition is up to individual school systems. State educational officials envision school bus capacity rising from 50 to 75%, which has been a major issue on how many students return to classrooms. Edwards had previously come under fire from some House Republicans, including charges that he was moving too slow to reopen the economy. House Speaker Clay Schneckseder from Gonzales, Republican, offered qualified praise for Thursday's news. "I am encouraged by the governor's announcement that the state will be moving into phase 3 of reopening," Schneckseder said. "It is past time." A virus bill fails in Senate, dimming prospects by Andrew Taylor, Associated Press. Out of Washington, Senate Democrats scuttled a scaled-back GOP coronavirus rescue package on Thursday as the parties argued to a standstill over the size and scope of the aid, likely ending hopes for coronavirus relief before the November election. The mostly party-line vote capped weeks of wrangling that gave way to election season political combat and name-calling over a fifth relief bill that all sides say they want but are unable to deliver. The bipartisan spirit that powered earlier aid measures is all but gone. The $650 billion measure is significantly smaller than legislation promoted by Republican leaders this summer. But that version was too big for most conservatives, so the GOP bill was instead stripped back to focus on school aid, jobless benefits, and help for small businesses. That maximized Republican support even as an alienated Democrats who say such a piecemeal approach would leave far too many vulnerable people. Okay, moving on here. And looks like we're into our sports stories. A Cajun cyborg, UL's Torrance has size, football instincts that could propel him to the next level by Kevin Foote, staff writer. Sometimes moms just know. As long as UL sophomore right guard Osiris Torrance can remember, his mother calls him Cyborg. Others in his hometown of Greensburg picked up on it and went overtime were shortened to Cybo to make it easier. Apparently, Demetrius just had a gut feeling that her son was going to be a larger-than-life figure one day. Although he stands an intimidating 6'5" and 332 pounds, there might have been a few larger prospects in the Cajuns program before. But from day one, his UL coaches and teammates marveled over the total package that is Osiris Torrance, something they won't likely see again in these parts anytime soon. It won't surprise many if the former St. Helene Central High standout leads Lafayette one day as the best raging Cajun players ever. I think the sky's the limit for him, junior right tackle Max Mitchell said. He's handled his diet well, he's strong, he's athletic. The kid has got all the football instinct in the world. I think he can definitely go easily first round by the end of his career here for sure. Currently, the highest drafted Cajuns are 4 second-rounders, Charles Tillman, number 35 overall, Anthony Clement, number 36, Robert Hunt, number 38, and Orlando Thomas, number 42. There's just something about his 3-star circuit, but who also got offers from Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, Southern Mississippi, and South Alabama. Some of it is his size, but it goes far beyond his physical stature. What's most impressive about Osiris is you can watch him complete and see how impressive he is physically. But that all starts between the ears, UL strength coach Mark Hoke said. It's the way he's wired, it's the way he thinks, that's what makes him different from just about anybody and everybody. I think he's going to continue to have success. In addition to his size and instincts, Torres arrived in Cajun country with a great work ethic. When senior left guard Ken Marks suffered a season-ending knee injury in the season opener last year, Torrance delivered with a seamless transition. He's a freak, junior center Shane Ballett said of Torrance's immediate success as a true freshman. He's a big dude, he's a player, he's got thrown in as a freshman, and I would say he's done a hell of a job. He competed, he's a fighter, he doesn't give up. While Torrance may have had the natural nerves any 19-year-old would have had in that situation, Sale didn't after watching his preparation. To be honest, Torrance admits he didn't actually pick everything up right away, but it didn't take long. Throughout the season last year, I've always tried to practice like they did, Torrance said. Coaches always said we got to practice hard, and those two guys were the best examples of practicing hard. I just tried to practice as hard as I can like they did. They practiced like the game every day. I just try to follow them with every little drill and every little station to do everything right in practice. It was hard trying to match it. I just tried hard to do everything they did and try to practice as hard as I could. And then another sports-related story, from this time with the Saints, Camara, it could have been me. Saints running back's helmet to display Aubrey's name by Amy Just, staff writer. Alvin Kamara didn't know Ahmaud Aubrey, but he feels a connection to him. The two black men were both born and raised in Georgia, with Camara's hometown being roughly 4 hours northwest of where Aubrey calls home. While growing up, both were athletes and shared dreams of playing in the NFL. Camara turned 25 in July. Aubrey died at the age of 25 in February after he was fatally shot by 2 white men who chased him while he was out jogging. It just hit home, Camara said during the interview with Queen Latifah during NBC's Inspire Change special. Being that he's from Georgia, just man, it's like it could have been me, you know? He was doing something as simple as just running, going on a jog, something that he did every day, and his life was taken from him. Aubrey's story weighed heavy on Camara, and that's why come Sunday, he'll be wearing Aubrey's name on his helmet this season, something all NFL players are allowed to do in 2020. NFL players can choose from several pre-approved phrases like "Stop Hate," "It Takes All of Us," and "Racism" and "Black Lives Matter," or wear the name of victims of police violence and or systemic racism. Aubrey's name, as well as George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Emmett Till, have all been approved. There are several other names that can be worn as well, but not all the names have been revealed. Additionally, one victim will be honored every week throughout the broadcast in an effort to not only say their names, but say their stories, a program that supported Camara. I've got a saying that sticks with me. It's, if you forget somebody in the dark, they died twice, Camara said. You've really got to keep those stories, keep those dreams alive, or else people will forget. Camara hopes that those tuning into the game broadcast each week will learn something. He wants those who haven't heard of some or any of the victims to do the research into who they were as a person and what happened to them. I can't sit here and lie and say I know about every case or injustice for those people losing their lives, Camara said, but I know enough to know that it's been going on and is still going on. As long as we can bring attention to some of these stories and have people drawn to it and feel deeply about it to say, okay, that's wrong and we need change, that's just rewarding to me because it's like, okay, it's working. Camara is the only Saints player so far to announce their helmet decal for the season. In interviews earlier this week, Saints linebacker Demario Davis and offensive lineman Treyon Armstead said they know that what they're planning to do, but they're keeping it under wraps until game day. It's important and it's extremely helpful, Armstead said, so we don't try to dilute that all. We want to take some time and put some thought into it before we roll out our plan for the season. And I do have one more sports story here. I know that we're past our time on the TV stations, but my voice is still being heard on a Cypress Street Radio streaming service, the Cypress Street Radio, CYPRESS Street Radio, or our YouTube station, AOC Community Media. I just have one more story to read here before we log off for the day. The human checkerboard. LSU determines how to space out the 25 capacity it will host while abiding by social distancing. By Brooks Cubana, staff writer. Imagine the seats of Tiger Stadium as a checkerboard. Small patches of grouped people, some sitting alone, 6-foot gaps of empty space in between. That's a rough mental picture of what LSU's seating arrangement at 25 capacity will be like this season. The university announced a reduced capacity Wednesday in its new procedures and guidelines, which include similar COVID-19 limitations as Southeastern Conference schools and also bans tailgating on campus. Single game tickets won't be available for purchase when LSU opens the season by hosting Mississippi State at 2:30 p.m. on September 26th. The estimated 25,000 people will mostly be made up of season ticket holders and students. Where exactly will everyone sit? Brian Broussard, LSU Assistant Athletics Director over ticket operations, said an exact plan will be put together once Friday's deadline passes for season ticket holders to opt out of this season. As the numbers stand right now, the LSU ticket office will have to make some cuts to get down to 25%. So far, Broussard said over 63% of season ticket holders have opted out. LSU has said those who opt out will still be able to retain their seats for 2021. That doesn't necessarily mean LSU will have to slash 12% of season ticket holders if more don't opt out by Friday. The total seating number includes students, ticket allocations for coaches and players, plus the SEC limit 500 tickets for the visiting school. LSU normally hosts 2,000 seats in the south end zone for visitors, Broussard said, which means the athletic department can use some of that area to space out its home fans. Interim LSU President Tim Galligan told reporters Wednesday the students will have to prove they tested negative for COVID-19 to enter in a program that will be finalized later. Broussard said there will be more event management staffing to enforce the seating arrangements. LSU is considering blocking off areas with wraps and blocking the bottoms of the chairback seats from pulling down. If stadium capacity never changes, seats won't likely change. If capacity shrinks, more cuts will need to be made. If capacity expands, Broussard said LSU could use a pod seating arrangement that would link multiple groups together in individual patches of the stadium. 2 groups of 2 could be linked into a group of 4, and so on. For now, Broussard only has to focus on this particular Tiger Stadium checkerboard. And as a side note, no alcohol for at least the first game. There'll be no alcohol sold in Tiger Stadium for at least LSU's first game of the season, an athletic official confirmed on Thursday. The athletic department informed season ticket holders about the decision on Thursday. The news comes the day after LSU announced it will reduce stadium capacity to 25% and ban tailgating on campus. The decision is to not sell alcohol as among several limitations LSU has self-implemented in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. Season ticket holders were told the decision is subject to change. LSU first started selling alcohol in its athletic venues in 2019. The SEC was the last of the 5 major college conferences to lift its ban on alcohol sales, though it had previously permitted the sale of alcohol to fans who sit in premium sitting areas. And again, that was also written by Brooks Cabana for the Acadiana or for the Advocate. And it's 10:02 by my time watch. So we're just a few minutes past our normal 9 to 10 a.m. reading of the news. I appreciate you tuning in for the last few minutes here. Wanted to get those stories in. Friday is always kind of a full day of news going into the weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We do this every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We bring myself and other volunteer readers. And right now we're doing home studios. We're not going into the AOC studios itself or the podcast booth until, well, now that we're in phase 3, maybe things will change in the next month or so. We'll see how things go. And as I always say, this is Bruce Cohen. Will always be Bruce Cohen. And I just ask you to be safe, healthy, and smart. Please be smart. We are rolling into phase 3. We'll see what that looks like in the next couple of weeks, but still just follow protocols, wear your mask when you're around people you don't know, keep your distance, wash your hands frequently, sanitize, take all the precautions that we've been doing for the last 6 months. You should all know what to do at this point. We are entering into the flu season, the regular flu season, so be aware of that as well. And also the schools are back in session, so if you're out there driving the streets of Lafayette and Acadiana, please be aware of the school buses and the school children getting on and off the buses. We appreciate you tuning in as always. And as I say, be kind to each other and have a great day and weekend. We'll see you on Monday.